Welcome. Today's project's on journaling to reduce anxiety. Journaling for me was one of the first steps in my anxiety recovery. It's a disciplinary act. I could never commit to something. My old anxious self could never commit to something. I would try something and then I would quit. But when I took responsibility for my anxiety, I started to learn about what the process to anxiety recovery is all about. So I was looking up to models, people that overcame anxiety. And so I transitioned from anxiety sufferer to anxiety student. And one of the most important habits these models adopted in their life was a journal. A journal. And after the first week of committing myself every morning to a journal, what happened? Well, I noticed that I felt lighter. I felt more organized because as an anxiety sufferer, I was very chaotic. My thoughts were chaotic. My lifestyle was chaotic. I needed to add order to the chaos. This adds order to the chaos. It organizes your negative thoughts. It gets the emotional baggage, all those negative thoughts that weigh you down onto paper, and thus then you can rationalize all of those negative thoughts once they're on paper. And so when I was going through that transition from being anxiety sufferer to student, I was starting a new chapter in my life. I was working as a camera trainee, and this was stressful because each day was something new, a different job. I was going to multiple film sets all the time, and as an anxiety sufferer, this is overwhelming. So I needed something to organize myself and to plan out my actions for the following day. And so I also needed something to organize my negative thoughts. And so once I sat down with myself and wrote down all of the worries that I was experiencing, what happened? Well, I could view them. I viewed them on paper, and then I instantly, from my unconscious mind, I was rationalizing them. I was figuring out solutions as I wrote them down. And that's interesting. That's why journaling is so important. It gets the chaos in order. And that's important for anxiety sufferers. And you begin an honest relationship with yourself once you start to journal, because you start to face the truth, right? Anxiety sufferers want to avoid the pain. They want to avoid their flaws. They don't want to face their flaws. They just want to stay in the place that's most familiar to them. But journaling then gets you to open up and open up to yourself, and you become honest with yourself, truthful, because when you start to write down those negative thoughts that are circling in your mind, you're going to experience resistance because you don't want to face those thoughts. You feel ashamed, you feel guilty, embarrassed. But when you start to write down those negative thoughts, you're facing the truth. You're facing the truth, and that's strength. That's not a weakness. And so you become stronger when you journal. You're more disciplined when you journal. You start facing the dragon of chaos rather than running away from it. So when you face your flaws, what happens? Well, now you have to work on those flaws. So journaling consists of facing those flaws. So it's a series of mini deaths and rebirths, right? Emerging from the ashes as a new person, because that's what recovery is all about. Many deaths and rebirths, right? You have to kill a part of you so that a new part emerges from the ashes, a more knowledgeable you. And journaling allows you to face your flaws, face the truth, and it allows you to connect with who you are, because anxiety sufferers lose that connection. We become so disassociated from our sense of self. We are so disconnected from the external world. We're completely immersed in our chaotic internal world. So add order to the chaos. So now I'm going to get into my process of my journaling routine in the morning. Take this process with you, apply it to your routine starting tonight, and make it a daily habit. And I journal in the morning and at night. So start tonight your first journal exercise routine, and then do it in the morning. So number one is I make it 5 minutes. I don't overwhelm myself with a huge challenge in the morning. I make it a simple 5-minute process. And then I structure my journal. That's number two. I structure my journal. Structuring your journal makes it more habitual. You already know what you're going to, not exactly what you're going to write, but you know the layout of the journal, so you're not confused on what it is you're going to write. So it's important to know ahead of time the structure so that you have an idea of the outline of how you're going to write your journal, so it makes it easier on yourself. So I structure my journal like this. I write the date at the top, and then the first line of the journal is, today's the day I prove my old self wrong, because I'm moving from anxiety sufferer to anxiety warrior. I'm being a new person. I'm becoming a new person. So each day I'm moving, and I'm making sure I recognize that each day is a moving process away from that old anxious me. So that's the first line. Today's the day I prove my old self wrong. The next thing I do is I write down all of my negative thoughts. Because in the morning, when I woke up, I was bombarded by negative thoughts. I woke up with a long list of what if thoughts. What if, I didn't get enough sleep because I feel exhausted? What if I have a panic attack today? What if I don't do a good job at my job today? What if I arrive late at my job today? Whatever it is, all those negative thoughts, write them down. So once you get them down on paper, you're going to feel a little bit lighter, because it's a sign of release, right? That writing all those thoughts down is an emotional release, because all those thoughts just weigh on you, especially in the morning. And then after you write down all your negative thoughts, write down 3 things that you're grateful for. So I would write down, I'm grateful for, having my girlfriend in my life. I think she's wonderful. I am grateful for having a car so I can get around to different places. I'm grateful for having my health. I'm grateful for knowing these certain role models. Whatever it is, the little things, the big things, whatever they are, write down what you're grateful for, so that you can start to recognize that, you can start to recognize the positives in your life rather than focusing on the negatives. Because as an anxiety sufferer, you're focused on all of those negatives too often. So let's start focusing on the positives. Then the next thing I would write is 3 things I'm excited about. I'm excited about challenging myself today. I'm excited about doing breathing exercises today. I'm excited about meditating today. I'm excited about watching my favorite role model on YouTube today. I'm excited about listening to that productive podcast today. Whatever it is you're excited about, write it down. Write it down so that you can, like I said before, associate yourself to the things that are positive in your life and that are meaningful to you rather than the negatives, rather than those catastrophic thoughts, right? And then write down your mantra. Find a mantra that you really like and that you find meaningful to you, and write down that mantra. So do some research and find a mantra that really speaks to you. And then lastly, write down at the bottom daily goal ... Today's goal is to practice breathing and posture. Today's goal is meditate. Today's goal is to exercise for half an hour. Today's goal is to face that panic at the shopping mall today and to not run away. Whatever it is, write down your goal for the day that's powerful to you, that suits your new identity rather than your old anxious identity. And that's the journal. Start journaling. I do it every day. Every day in the morning, it's a part of my morning routine, and it helps me organize my mind, clears up the chaos, and I emerged as a more disciplined, more organized, and more mindful human being. And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's video. Thank you so much for being with me here today. Thank you for subscribing. And remember, do not let anxiety define who you are. And I will see you on the next video. Bye.